You ought to read his wife's divorce petition. What exactly is in this soup?
Why, don't you like it?
It's delicious.
The 1970s kitchen was unlike anything we see today, with its bold color choices and unique design elements that defined an entire generation. If you grew up during this decade, then you probably remember the avocado green appliances, the mushroom-themed decor, and the distinct smell of percolating coffee filling the house. These kitchens weren't just places to cook. They were the heart of the home, where families gathered and memories were made. So, let's take a trip down memory lane and explore 20 weird facts you didn't know about 1970s kitchens. Fact 1. Avocado green and harvest gold appliances. If you walked into any kitchen during the 1970s, you were almost guaranteed to see appliances in either avocado green or harvest gold. These weren't just accent colors. They were the dominant shades that manufacturers used for refrigerators, stoves, dishwashers, and even small appliances like toasters and blenders. The avocado green trend started in the late 1960s, but really hit its stride throughout the 70s. This muted greenish tone was supposed to bring the outdoors inside and create a calming, natural environment. Harvest gold, on the other hand, was a mustard yellow shade that complemented the earthy aesthetic perfectly. What's really interesting is that these colors weren't cheap alternatives. They were actually marketed as premium options that cost more than standard white appliances. Families would proudly show off their matching avocado green kitchen suite as a status symbol. It meant you had modern taste and could afford the latest trends. Manufacturers like General Electric, Whirlpool, and Frigidaire all jumped on the bandwagon, offering entire lines in these fashionable hues. You could coordinate everything from your major appliances down to your electric can opener and coffee maker. The goal was a completely unified look. The psychology behind these colors was fascinating. Avocado green was meant to be soothing and connected to nature, while harvest gold evoked feelings of warmth and comfort together. They created what designers called an earthy palette that was supposed to make kitchens feel more inviting. Of course, nowadays these colors look incredibly dated, and most people can't wait to replace avocado green appliances when they buy a house. But back in the 70s, if you didn't have at least one appliance in these shades, your kitchen was considered behind the times. The funny thing is, these appliances were built to last. Many of them are still working today, more than 50 years later, which is more than you can say for some modern appliances that need replacing after just a few years. So, while the colors might be hideous by today's standards, the quality was undeniable. Fact 2. The mushroom obsession. Beyond just the appliance colors, the 1970s kitchen had another defining characteristic: an absolute obsession with mushrooms. Mushrooms appeared on everything from canisters to curtains, from wallpaper to dish. Towels, there was no escaping the fungi. The mushroom trend fit perfectly with the earthy, natural aesthetic that dominated 70s decor. These weren't realistic mushrooms either. They were often cartoonish with bright red caps and white spots, looking more like something from a fairy tale than a forest floor. You could buy entire sets of mushroom-themed kitchen accessories, matching canisters for flour, sugar, coffee, and tea, all adorned with cheerful mushroom illustrations, cookie jars shaped like mushrooms, salt and pepper shakers that looked like mushrooms, and even mushroom-patterned pot holders. The wallpaper was perhaps the most memorable aspect of this trend. Many kitchens featured wallpaper with repeating mushroom patterns, often in those same avocado green and harvest gold colors, to tie everything together. Some designs were subtle with small scattered mushrooms, while others were bold with oversized fungus prints covering entire walls. Kitchen curtains got the mushroom treatment. 2 cafe curtains were popular during this time, and you could find them in every possible mushroom design imaginable. These curtains usually covered just the bottom half of the window, providing some privacy while still letting light in. Even linens weren't spared from the mushroom invasion. Dish towels featured embroidered or printed mushrooms. Tablecloths had mushroom borders, and placemats came in mushroom designs. The goal seemed to be creating a cohesive theme that left no surface untouched. Looking back, it's hard to understand why mushrooms became such a dominant motif. But at the time, it made perfect sense. They represented nature, simplicity, and a connection to the earth, all values that resonated with 70s culture. The Back to Nature movement and increased environmental awareness made earthy, organic designs appealing. Nowadays, finding authentic 70s mushroom kitchen items has become a hobby for vintage collectors. These pieces are considered kitsch and nostalgic reminders of a very specific moment in design history. Fact 3. Fondue pots were essential. No 1970s kitchen was complete without at least one fondue pot. And if you were really keeping up with the trends, you had two. One for cheese fondue and one for chocolate. Fondue was more than just a cooking method. It was a social event that defined 70s entertaining. The fondue craze actually started in the late 1960s, but exploded in popularity throughout the 70s. Suddenly, everyone was hosting fondue parties where guests would gather around a pot of melted cheese, or chocolate spearing bread, or fruit on long forks. And dipping away cheese fondue was typically made with Swiss cheese white wine and garlic served in a ceramic or enamel pot, heated by a small flame underneath. Guests would use long-handled forks to dip cubes of French bread into the communal pot. It was interactive dining that encouraged conversation and togetherness. Chocolate fondue became popular for desserts featuring melted chocolate, kept warm over a flame, while guests dipped strawberries, marshmallows, pound cake, and other treats. The fondue pot became a centerpiece for dinner parties and special occasions. What made fondue so appealing during the 70s was its casual yet sophisticated nature. It felt fancy enough for company, but relaxed enough that everyone could participate. It also fit perfectly with the era's emphasis on communal living and shared experiences. Fondue sets were popular wedding gifts, and many couples received multiple sets. Over the years, these sets usually came in orange-brown or that ubiquitous avocado green, and included the pot, the stand, the fuel holder, and a set of color-coded forks so everyone could keep track of their own. The fondue pot required special fuel canisters called sterno that created a small controlled flame underneath the pot. Regulating the temperature was tricky too hot, and the cheese would separate too cool, and it would solidify into a gummy mess. Beyond cheese and chocolate, there was also fondue bourguignonne, where raw meat was cooked in hot oil at the table. Each guest would cook their own pieces of beef to their desired doneness. It was interactive, but also slightly dangerous with hot oil bubbling away on the dinner table. The fondue trend eventually faded by the early 1980s, but it left its mark on American cuisine. Many people still have their mother's or grandmother's fondue pot stored away in a cabinet, a relic of 70s dinner parties. Fakes 4, copper tone hoods and fixtures. Walking into a 1970s kitchen, you'd likely notice another distinctive feature: copper tone finishes on everything from range hoods to cabinet hardware to light fixtures. The warm metallic glow of copper was everywhere. Copper tone wasn't actual copper, but rather an anodized aluminum or painted finish designed to look like copper. Without the maintenance reel, copper requires constant polishing to prevent tarnish. But copper tone maintained its warm golden brown appearance with minimal effort. Range hoods were the most prominent place you'd see copper tone. These large ventilation hoods hung over the stove and were often the focal point of the kitchen. A copper tone hood made a bold statement and complemented those avocado green or harvest gold appliances perfectly. But the copper tone trend didn't stop at range. Hoods cabinet hardware, like drawer pulls and hinges, often featured the same finish light. Fixtures over the kitchen table or sink came in copper tone, and even small appliances like toasters and electric skillets could be found with copper-colored accents. Some kitchens went all in on the copper theme, with matching copper tone cookware sets displayed on walls or hanging from ceiling racks. These pots and pans weren't necessarily functional display pieces. They were legitimate cookware. but they also served as decorative elements. The appeal of Coppertone was its warmth. It added richness to the color palette and created visual interest against the muted tones of avocado and gold. The metallic finish caught the light and made kitchens feel more luxurious. Coppertone also tied into the broader trend of visible metallic finishes. In home design, the 1970s embraced shiny surfaces. Whether it was chrome brass or copper, these reflective elements were considered modern and stylish. Maintaining Coppertone was relatively easy compared to real copper. A simple wipe with a damp cloth kept it looking good. And because it was a finish rather than solid metal, it didn't develop the patina that real copper does. By the 1980s, Coppertone fell out of fashion as quickly as it had arrived. Brushed nickel and stainless steel became the preferred metallic finishes, and Coppertone was relegated to thrift stores and estate sales. Today, if you find original Coppertone fixtures from the 70s in good condition, they've become vintage collectibles. Some people even seek them out, specifically for retro kitchen renovations. Fact 5. Macrame plant hangers everywhere. The 1970s kitchen wasn't complete without plants. Lots of them, and the preferred way to display them was in macrame plant hangers suspended from the ceiling or mounted on walls. These handcrafted rope hangers were everywhere. Macrame is the art of knotting cord or rope to create decorative patterns, and the craft experienced a massive revival. During the 70s, suddenly everyone was knotting their own plant hangers, wall hangings, and even decorative curtains. In the kitchen, macrame plant hangers typically held spider plants trailing pothos ivy or Swedish ivy. These plants were chosen because they thrived in indoor conditions, and their cascading foliage looked beautiful, spilling over the edges of hanging planters. The hangers themselves were usually made from natural jute or cotton rope in beige or brown tones. The most common design featured a series of square knots creating a diamond or spiral pattern with long fringe at the bottom and a loop at the top for hanging. Windows were prime real estate for hanging plants. The natural light helped them grow, and they created a living curtain effect, adding privacy while still allowing sunlight to filter through some kitchens. Had so many hanging plants, it looked like an indoor jungle. Corner spaces also became homes for macrame plant hangers, a hook screwed into the ceiling. In a corner could support a large spider plant, whose shoots would eventually produce baby plants hanging down like natural decorations. The DIY aspect of macrame made it especially popular during the 70s, when crafting and handmade items were highly valued. Women's magazines regularly featured macrame patterns and instructions, and craft stores sold macrame kits with pre-cut rope and beads. Adding beads to macrame plant hangers was another popular customization. Wooden beads and natural finishes could be incorporated into the knotting pattern, adding weight and visual interest. Ceramic beads in earth tones were also common. The plants themselves required regular care, but the macrame hangers were virtually maintenance-free. They might collect dust over time, but a quick shake outside or gentle vacuum kept them looking fresh. By the time the 1980s rolled around, macrame fell out of fashion as tastes shifted toward cleaner, more minimalist aesthetics. Those handcrafted plant hangers ended up in attics and garages. Today, macrame has experienced yet another revival, and modern versions of these plant hangers can be found in trendy home stores, but they'll never quite capture that authentic 70s vibe. Fact 6. The Lazy Susan Revolution. One of the most practical innovations that became standard in 1970s kitchens was the Lazy Susan. This rotating tray made corner cabinets accessible and helped organize everything from spices to canned goods. Corner cabinets have always been challenging spaces in kitchen design. They're deep and awkward, making it hard to reach items stored in the back. The Lazy Susan solved this problem elegantly with a simple rotating mechanism. The most common type was the kidney-shaped double-decker Lazy Susan that fit into corner base cabinets. These consisted of two circular shelves mounted on a central pole that allowed them to spin when you opened the cabinet door. You could rotate the shelves, bringing everything within easy reach. Upper corner cabinets also got the Lazy Susan treatment, though these were typically single-level circular shelves, perfect for storing drinking glasses, coffee mugs, or smaller food items. The ability to spin the shelf meant nothing got lost in the back corner, countertop. Lazy Susans were also popular during the 70s. These smaller versions sat on the kitchen table or counter, holding salt and pepper shakers, hot sauce bottles, napkin holders, and other condiments at dinner. Everyone could simply spin the tray to reach what they needed. The beauty of the Lazy Susan was its simplicity. No complex mechanisms or electronics, just a basic ball-bearing system that allowed smooth rotation even when loaded with heavy cans and jars. They were reliable and virtually maintenance-free. Spice storage became much more practical with a Lazy Susan. Instead of having spice bottles lined up in a cabinet where you had to move several to reach the one in back, you could just spin the carousel and grab what you needed. Some enterprising homeowners installed Lazy Susans in pantries for canned goods. One spin could reveal your entire collection of soups, vegetables, and sauces, making meal planning and inventory management much easier. The name Lazy Susan has unclear origins, but some believe it dates back to the early 20th century. Regardless of how it got its name, the device became ubiquitous in 70s. Kitchen design, higher-end kitchen renovations might have included corner cabinets with built-in rotating shelves that pulled out as well as spun. These premium options made even better use of corner space, but were more expensive than standard Lazy Susans. Today, Lazy Susans are still used, but they are not quite as omnipresent as they were in the 70s. Modern kitchen design has found other solutions for corner cabinets, but nothing is quite as satisfyingly simple as giving that shelf a spin. Fact 7. Tupperware parties. Tupperware wasn't invented in the 1970s, but the Tupperware party phenomenon absolutely defined the decade's kitchen culture. These home-based sales events were social gatherings, shopping opportunities, and a way for women to earn money, all rolled into one. The concept was simple. A Tupperware consultant would host a party at someone's home, demonstrating the products while guests socialized and placed orders. The hostess received free or discounted Tupperware based on total sales, making it beneficial for everyone involved. These parties were usually held during the day when husbands were at work, creating a women-only environment where attendees could relax, chat, and enjoy refreshments while learning about the latest Tupperware products. The demonstrations were key to the sales process. The consultant would show how the famous Tupperware seal worked, pressing down on the lid until you heard the distinctive burp that indicated an airtight seal. This burping seal was Tupperware's signature feature, keeping food fresh longer. Consultants would also perform dramatic demonstrations like the Tupperware toss, where they'd toss a sealed container across the room to prove it wouldn't spill, or the test where they'd fill a container with water, seal it, and turn it upside down with no leaks. The product line during the 70s included far more than just food storage containers. There were serving bowls, cake carriers, salt and pepper shakers, measuring cups, and even toys for children. Everything came in bright colors: orange, yellow, avocado, green, and harvest gold to match kitchen decor. Color coding was a big selling point. You could organize your kitchen with color-specific containers, making it easy to identify contents at a glance. Some families had entire rainbow collections displayed proudly in their cabinets. The social aspect of Tupperware parties can't be overstated. For many women, especially stay-at-home mothers, these gatherings provided important social connection and community. They were a chance to catch up with neighbors, make new friends, and enjoy adult conversation. Becoming a Tupperware consultant offered women entrepreneurial opportunities during a time when many weren't working outside the home. The flexible schedule allowed them to work around family obligations while earning their own income. Tupperware parties also created a sense of obligation. If you attended a friend's party, You felt compelled to buy something to support her. And then you'd host your own party, expecting the same reciprocal support. This network effect drove tremendous sales. The products themselves were revolutionary for food storage before Tupperware. Most people used wax paper, aluminum foil, or reused glass jars. Having a complete system of matching stackable containers with reliable seals changed how families stored leftovers and organized their kitchens. Today, Tupperware parties are far less common as the company has shifted toward online sales and retail stores. But for those who attended these gatherings in the 70s, the memory of burping the seal remains vivid. Fact 8. Popcorn ceilings. Looking up in a 1970s kitchen, you'd likely see another distinctive feature. The popcorn ceiling, also known as acoustic ceiling or cottage cheese ceiling. This textured finish was applied to ceilings throughout homes, but was especially common in kitchens. The texture was created by spraying or painting a mixture of drywall compound and polystyrene or styrofoam particles onto the ceiling, creating a bumpy three-dimensional surface that resembled popcorn or cottage cheese. The result was a heavily textured ceiling that looked very different from today's smooth finishes. Popcorn ceilings became popular for several practical reasons. First, they were cheaper and faster to install than smooth ceilings. The texture hid imperfections in the drywall underneath, meaning contractors didn't need to spend time carefully finishing and sanding the surface. Second, the texture helped with sound absorption. In an era before open floor plans rooms were more enclosed, and the acoustic properties of popcorn ceilings helped dampen noise in kitchens where hard surfaces like tile countertops and appliances created lots of sound. The textured ceiling helped reduce echo. The third reason was purely aesthetic. During the 70s, texture was considered modern and interesting. Smooth ceilings were seen as plain and boring, while popcorn ceilings added visual dimension. Installation was straightforward. The texture came in bags of dry mix that was combined with water and sprayed onto prepared ceilings using a special hopper gun. Some homeowners even attempted DIY application, though professional results required practice. The textures varied from fine spray that created a subtle bumpy surface to heavy application that produced pronounced peaks. Some popcorn ceilings were painted after application, often in white or cream, while others were left in the natural off-white color of the texture compound. Maintenance of popcorn ceilings was tricky. The texture couldn't be wiped clean. Like smooth ceilings, trying to clean them would damage the texture, causing it to fall off in chunks. If your popcorn ceiling got dirty or stained, there wasn't much you could do. In kitchens, this was particularly problematic. Cooking grease and smoke would gradually discolor the ceiling, texture turning it yellow or brown over time. The only real solution was repainting, but even that had to be done carefully to avoid saturating the texture. The big issue with popcorn ceilings came later, when people discovered that many installed before the 1980s contained asbestos. Asbestos was added to the texture compound for fire resistance, but was later found to cause serious health problems. This meant that removing old popcorn ceilings became a hazardous undertaking, requiring professional abatement. If the ceiling tested positive for asbestos, many homeowners chose to simply paint over the texture or cover it with new drywall rather than face the expense and risk of removal. Today, popcorn ceilings are universally disliked, and removing them is a common renovation project. But in the 70s, they were standard in virtually every new home. Built Fact 9, wall-mounted can openers. Every 1970s kitchen seemed to have a manual can opener permanently mounted under a cabinet or on the wall. These weren't handheld tools. They had their own fixed spot, usually at a comfortable working height. Made of sturdy metal with chrome or painted finishes, they featured a clever magnetic lid lifter that held the can lid after cutting, preventing it from falling into the food. The mechanism was simple yet effective. A sharp cutting wheel and a gear-driven feed wheel worked together. You clamped the can in place, turned the wingnut handle, and the can rotated as the cutting wheel sliced through the metal. Once done, the magnetic lid could be lifted away and discarded easily. Installation required drilling and screwing the opener securely to the cabinet. Popular brands like Swingaway and Edland offered models in coordinating colors: avocado green, harvest gold, or copper tone. These openers were durable, often lasting decades without failing. Using one required some strength and coordination, especially for large cans. Kids were often taught to use them, enjoying the mechanical resistance and the satisfaction of a smooth cut. By the late 70s and early 80s, electric openers replaced them, but for those who grew up with them, the sound of cranking evokes instant nostalgia. Fact 10. Jell-O molds for everything. The 1970s kitchen was dominated by a bizarre obsession with Jell-O, and dedicated collections of molds reflected this craze. These molds came in all shapes and sizes: ring molds, fluted molds, bunt-style molds, and even animal-shaped designs, and weren't reserved solely for sweet desserts. Savory Jell-O salads were common, appearing at potlucks, church socials, and holiday dinners, often combining vegetables, fruit, or even seafood suspended in flavored gelatin. Making a Jell-O mold required patience. You prepared the gelatin, added extra ingredients, poured it into the mold, and refrigerated it until fully set. Unmolding was the critical moment: a brief dip in warm water, a careful flip onto a plate, and hope that the gelatin released intact. Sometimes it worked beautifully, other times it collapsed into a sticky mess. Jell-O molds were practical. They could be made ahead and stretched ingredients to serve many, but they were also about showmanship. Shimmering, jiggling, and colorful, a well-executed mold showcased homemaking skill. Multi-layered and creamy molds, often in holiday colors, were especially ambitious. By the 1980s, the savory Jell-O trend waned, but the molds remained as nostalgic symbols of the era. Today they survive mainly at retro-themed gatherings, a wobbly reminder of 70s food culture. Fact 11. Spice racks with matching jars. In the 1970s kitchen, organization often meant displaying items rather than hiding them, and spice racks perfectly embodied this philosophy. Wall-mounted wooden racks held matching glass jars of spices, combining function and decoration in one. Typically made from dark stained wood, the racks featured 2 or 3 narrow shelves with lips at the front to keep jars from sliding off, and were usually mounted near the stove for easy access. What made these racks special were the pre-filled, uniform spice jars included with the set. Most contained 12 to 24 of the most commonly used spices, from basil and oregano to paprika and cinnamon. The clear glass jars with matching lids allowed cooks to see contents at a glance, while printed labels added to the tidy appearance. Some jars had shaker tops, while others required measuring spoons. A full spice rack suggested a well-equipped kitchen and a serious cook, but there were practical downsides. Heat, steam, and light near the stove could degrade spices. Lids became crusty, and labels faded or splattered. Refilling jars required extra effort, and some spices went unused for months. Despite these challenges, spice racks remained popular throughout the 70s, adding both utility and visual appeal. Today they are nostalgic reminders of a display-oriented era in kitchen design. Fact 12. The breakfast nook. The breakfast nook was a hallmark of many 1970s kitchens, offering a cozy, built-in seating area where families could gather for casual meals. Typically, these nooks featured L-shaped or U-shaped benches surrounding a small table, maximizing corner space while seating several people comfortably. Benches were often upholstered with vinyl cushions in patterns and colors that matched the kitchen decor. Harvest gold with mushroom prints or avocado green with florals were common. Vinyl was durable and easy to wipe clean, perfect for juice spills and crumbs, though it could feel sticky in summer and cold in winter. Many benches included hinge storage underneath, ideal for linens, seasonal items, or bulk groceries. Tables were usually formica-topped in countless colors and patterns, from solid shades to geometric designs or faux wood, offering durability and easy cleaning. Lighting came from hanging fixtures or pendant lamps, creating intimate spaces for meals, homework, bill paying, board games, and casual conversation. Breakfast nooks encourage closeness and equality. Unlike formal dining rooms with a head of the table, they were often placed near windows to enjoy natural light. Tight corners and hard-to-clean spaces posed minor challenges, but the charm, warmth, and practicality of these nooks made them central to 70s family life and enduring memories for those who grew up with them. Fact 13. Plug-in coffee. Percolators. Before automatic drip machines dominated the kitchen, the 1970s relied on plug-in electric percolators to brew morning coffee. These distinctive appliances sat proudly on the counter, filling homes with the rhythmic bubbling sound and rich aroma that signaled the start of a new day. Electric percolators consisted of a metal pot with a heating element in the base, a central tube, and a perforated basket on top for coffee grounds. As the water heated, it cycled up the tube, showering the grounds and dripping back down repeatedly until the coffee reached the desired strength. Some models had built-in timers or automatic warming functions, while others required unplugging to avoid over-extraction. Percolators came in a variety of materials: stainless steel, aluminum, enameled metals, or glass, in colors like avocado green, harvest gold, and copper tone, coordinated with kitchen decor. Classic brands included Farberware, Sunbeam, West Bend, and Corning, the latter offering elegant glass models that let you watch the brewing process. Cleaning involved disassembling the basket and tube and scrubbing coffee oils, and hard water could cause limescale buildup. Despite the effort, percolator coffee's robust, strong flavor kept fans loyal. By the early 80s, drip machines largely replaced them. But for 70s families, the percolator was central to mornings, routine, and nostalgia. Fact 14. Linoleum floors in wild patterns. Looking down in a 1970s kitchen meant seeing bold linoleum flooring that made a statement. Patterns range from geometric shapes, hexagons, squares, and diamonds in contrasting colors like avocado green and white or orange and brown, to abstract designs and stylized florals. Some even mimicked brick, stone, or wood, though no one was fooled. The 70s embraced playful exaggeration. Linoleum was chosen for its durability, water resistance, and easy maintenance. But in the 70s, it became a canvas for daring design. Sheets were glued to the subfloor, and seams could be weak points, though tiles were sometimes used to allow for pattern customization and easier repairs. The surface had slight give, making long hours at the stove more comfortable. Busy patterns cleverly camouflage crumbs, dirt, and minor scuffs, though high traffic areas eventually showed wear or fading. Scuff marks from shoes were a common nuisance, prompting some families to leave shoes at the door. Cleaning was simple with a damp mop, and waxing could restore shine. By the 80s, taste shifted to neutral floors, but today, vintage 70s linoleum is cherished for its vibrant colors and nostalgic charm, instantly transporting anyone who steps on it back to that era. Fact 15. The crock pot changed everything. One of the most revolutionary appliances of the 1970s kitchen was the crock pot. Introduced in 1971 by rival manufacturing, this slow cooker transformed how families approached meals, making it possible for working parents to come home to a hot, home-cooked dinner. Its design was simple: a ceramic or stoneware insert inside a metal housing with an electric heating element, usually topped with a clear glass lid, so you could check food without releasing heat. Settings were basic: low, high, and off. But that simplicity was part of its charm. Crock pots allowed set-it-and-forget-it cooking. Ingredients could be prepared in the morning, left to cook 8 to 10 hours, and dinner would be ready upon return. Recipes favored tender, slow-cooked dishes like pot roast, beef stew, chili, and chicken, turning cheaper cuts into delicious falling-apart meals. They were also perfect for parties or potlucks, keeping meatballs, dips, and appetizers warm without drying out. Original models came in harvest gold or avocado green to match kitchen decor, with later designs adding floral patterns. While they didn't brown meat, many cooks adapted by browning first. The crock pot became a staple of 70s kitchens, easing dinner stress, supporting family meals, and leaving a lasting legacy that slow cookers continue today. Fact 16. Cutting boards as decor. In 1970s kitchens, cutting boards weren't just functional. They were decorative art pieces hung proudly on walls. These boards weren't for chopping. They were made to be admired, fitting perfectly with the era's love of earthy materials and handcrafted items. Most were wooden, often with natural bark edges, giving them a rustic, organic appeal. Popular motifs included mushrooms, owls, sunflowers, daisies, and other folk art designs. Some boards featured wood-burn patterns, painted images, or decoupage sealed under varnish. Shapes range from classic rectangles to whimsical silhouettes, a pig, rooster, apple, or pineapple, while sizes varied from small 6-inch boards to large 2-foot showpieces. Hardwood options like walnut, cherry, and maple highlighted beautiful grain patterns, and personalized boards with family names or sayings were common gifts. Display placement was an art in itself, above stoves, along walls, or grouped like a gallery. While decorative boards hung prominently, practical boards were stored for everyday use. Over time, grease and grime could accumulate on displayed boards, making cleaning tricky. By the 80s, the trend faded, but today vintage decorative cutting boards, especially with 70s motifs, are collectible nostalgic reminders of a time when kitchens embraced bold, maximalist style. Fact 17. The trash compactor. The trash compactor was the ultimate in modern convenience for 1970s kitchens. Designed to fit into a standard cabinet, it crushed household garbage into dense blocks, reducing trips to the curb. Marketed as a luxury appliance, users loaded trash into a reinforced bag, closed the drawer, and pressed a button, while a powerful ram applied up to 3,000 pounds of force to compress cans, bottles, cardboard, and general waste. Installation required professionals, as compactors were heavy and needed electrical connections, usually near the sink for convenience. The grinding, crushing, and mechanical whirring became part of the kitchen soundscape, and children often watched in fascination. Special reinforced bags were necessary, and large or dangerous items like aerosol cans or glass bottles required care to avoid hazards, compacting trapped odors, making regular cleaning essential, and spilled liquids or broken glass could create messes. Safety features like locks and automatic shutoffs helped, but accidents still occurred. By the 80s, trash compactors fell out of favor as families realized they were expensive, required maintenance, and didn't reduce overall waste. Today, many homes retain the cabinetry space, but have removed the appliance entirely. For 70s homeowners, the compactor symbolized optimism, modernity, and either convenience or frustration, depending on the experience. Fact 18. Recipe card boxes. Every well-organized 1970s kitchen had a recipe card box, either on the counter or tucked into a cabinet. These small boxes held index cards with handwritten recipes, creating personalized cookbooks passed down through generations. Boxes came in wood, metal, or plastic, often decorated with mushrooms, flowers, or geometric patterns. Some simple, others elaborate with dividers and tabs. Inside, cards varied in size, condition, and handwriting. Some were pristine new editions, while others were splattered with ingredients and worn from decades of use. Recipes were organized by category, source, or family member, with handwritten notes adding personal touches. Double this one, needs more salt, or served at Thanksgiving, 1973. Magazine clippings and newspaper cutouts were taped to cards, expanding the collection and connecting cooks to neighbors and friends. Recipe cards were functional, sentimental, and social. They propped up on counters while cooking, showing evidence of frequent use, and were passed down to new generations as starter collections. Though online databases have replaced many physical cards, those handwritten, stained, and splattered index cards preserve family history, culinary traditions, and a tactile connection to home life that digital files can never replicate. Fact 19. Cottage cheese containers as storage. Long before Tupperware and other storage systems were common, 1970s kitchens relied heavily on reused containers, especially cottage cheese tubs. These sturdy plastic containers with snap-on lids came in various sizes, from single servings to family-sized tubs. Once the cottage cheese was gone, the containers were washed and repurposed for leftovers, craft supplies, or virtually anything that needed storage. The appeal was practical and thrifty. The tubs were free, durable, and versatile. Sizes were dictated by purchase rather than need, creating mismatched collections over time. Lids were often lost or warped. Staining from tomato sauces was inevitable, and odors from onions or other strong foods lingered indefinitely. Labeling with masking tape or markers was necessary, though labels often peeled. Freezing was risky, and cabinet avalanches were a common hazard with stacked tubs. This reuse habit extended to margarine tubs, yogurt cups, and whipped topping containers. It reflected both economy and resourcefulness. Buying purpose-made storage containers cost money, while repurposing existing tubs was free. By the 80s and 90s, Tupperware and Rubbermaid made the practice less common, but for 70s kids, a jumble of cottage cheese containers symbolized practicality, thrift, and the inventive spirit of the household. Fact 20. Avocado-colored telephones. No 1970s kitchen was complete without a telephone, often avocado green to match the appliances and decor. Most families leased their phones from the phone company, meaning model and color choices were limited. But avocado was widely available. Wall-mounted phones saved counter space, with long coiled cords letting you move around while talking, though tangling was inevitable. The kitchen phone was the household communication hub. Everyone shared the line, so conversations happened in the open, often amid running water, clanging dishes, and arguing siblings. Privacy was limited. You could stretch the cord into another room and speak quietly, but eavesdropping was almost guaranteed. Rotary dials were standard, and phone numbers were written on wall lists or kept in address books. Long-distance calls were expensive, and call waiting didn't exist, meaning busy signals were common. The handset was heavy, ringing was loud, and party lines still existed in rural areas. Taking messages on paper pads was essential since answering machines were rare. The avocado color coordinated with kitchen decor, making the phone part of the room's aesthetic. By the early 80s, cordless phones and deregulation made these wall phones obsolete. But for 70s kids, stretching the coiled cord to talk for hours was a defining memory of home life. The 1970s kitchen was unmistakably a product of its era, from avocado green appliances and mushroom-themed decor to fondue pots and crock pots. While some elements seem bizarre today, they made sense in the context of the decade. Earthy tones reflected environmental awareness. Fondue parties and Tupperware gatherings showcased casual entertaining, and time-saving appliances like crock pots and trash compactors adapted to changing family dynamics. These kitchens weren't just functional, they were the heart of the home. Families gathered for meals, kids did homework at the breakfast nook, wall phones connected households to the world, and recipe boxes preserved family favorites. The sounds of percolating coffee, the smells of slow-cooked roasts and Jell-O salads, and the sights of linoleum floors and popcorn ceilings remain vivid memories. Though the colors were bold and maintenance tricky, 70s kitchens had character, personality, and charm. They captured a decade's style, lifestyle, and spirit, leaving lasting memories for those who grew up with them.